purposely and challenged by a loop of the trail. So I think we should spend some time defining, who's the intended user of this.
Just like to speak on the access points. First of all, I think it looks beautiful, the way it's set up, and it makes a ton of sense with the contour. I run on that trail on Chisi that you're talking about all the time. I agree that it gets overgrown and there's like brambles sometimes hanging, but I think it's more of a maintenance versus I think the trail itself is great. That was an area that I was personally wondering about because I didn't think you could fit both pedestrian and bicycle in that spot, and knowing that you drop the bicycle down below makes a ton of sense. And then maintaining the pedestrian trail as is up above is great. I think in terms of the access, it makes sense that there should be more, or not more than you have, but that more than bicycle pedestrians have more access points because they will not move as quickly through the trail and they only want to do a small part and may use it more for I know it's not supposed to be a commuting by definition because then it needs to be like a sidewalk, but I mean people will use it for getting from point A to point B. Versus bicycling, I think it's faster to get through the system, but it would be ideal, I think, to have a third entry and exit on the, the direction we're facing? The north end. Yeah, the north end, maybe the P-patch entry area or something, and that way you've got basically 3 spots to get in and out. I don't know if, I personally don't know if we need more than that, especially, it seems like that presents a safety hazard with people entering and exiting the trail, but that's just my perspective.
I'd like us to consider carefully the markers that they fit into the green space. I really like the granite that Seward Park has. So just when we're ready for that, keep in mind to be balanced, because with more entrances, I'm not opposed, but more entrances means more markers. So I just want us to not take away from the green space too. So there's a balance that I think we need to keep in mind, that adding more entrances means we need to delineate which direction people are going, especially if we're also going to be looking at the environmental piece, which I don't know if that's a part of this as well, that we've talked about, having some environmental sites along the path as well. So
For education?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I don't want us to lose that. Okay.
Dave?
Yeah, I agree with you. Have you been to Seward Park? Have beautiful, what are they, stone pillars? Basalt, yeah. Hey, did you consider putting a walking trail right just through the middle between the bike loop instead of up on Chafee Boulevard? I think that'd really capture, get some in the interior and really capture.
Can you point to me where you're talking about? We did actually consider that, but we had a pretty strong direction that had to be a perimeter. So within that definition, a little bit limited what we could do. Yeah, we thought it might be an interesting it might be an interesting experience for pedestrians and a little bit different for them to have to do the
Sarah?
Besides the not being perimeter, I'm pretty concerned about. I'm not objecting necessarily to moving pedestrians up. I'm concerned about the impact that 4-foot wide plus set-aside trail has, and I think as a pedestrian trail down the very center of what is the best part of the forest, so I was really impacted by the presentation we got last time on how wide stuff has to be, and I appreciate your clarification, but a third 4-foot wide plus down the middle, we just start really, to me, that's an environmental impact that would be really hard to mitigate.
I wanted to add one little clarification to that earlier clarification. One of the reasons for the trimming near the path is to keep maintenance down, but another is sightlines. People don't feel comfortable unless they can see a pretty good distance ahead of them to see, who's coming. And so there's a lot of little techniques about, having really gentle curves and having a certain amount of, clear space that you can see. Although there are, for instance, at Seward Park, there's a couple of trails that they decided, kind of letting that go for this particular primitive trail, and it's quite close to it.
A couple things I'd like us to keep in mind, and that is with the down timber that's there, that's habitat for the woodpeckers.
Yes.
So I just want us to be careful, because we do have lots of great birds, and especially woodpeckers in the green space, and I don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
So, and that's in the vegetative management plan. So, and then secondly, I don't know if you've thought about, if anybody's thought about just the whole vision of the whole green space from Mountain View all the way to Mountain Baker, because now there's a group in Mountain Baker that wants to build a connection to rebuild that Olmsted legacy. So I'm not sure how this is all gonna fit in if we're, I'm just, how can we maintain that visual as well as that feel? Being on the boulevard and then going down into Mount Baker Boulevard, so.
Any other final comments here before, as we start to get into the public comment? Daryl?
During the process, we've been concerned about the scope of the project and actually where the project's located. And seeing this map, it appears as if the Chiste Boulevard itself is now part of the project site. Is that correct? I see a trail where it looks like we're sending pedestrians on a loop trail that's going to put them right back up onto the road on an existing trail. And so my question is, if we're going to introduce what potentially looks like maybe 3/4 of a mile of trail along the boulevard, why aren't we looking at like the SHA property or the property up around the golf course or even other locations, to satisfy the need to create this loop, I guess you'd call it.
So do you have like so Daryl, you're thinking about like a broader scope of connecting some of that? Is that what I'm confused?
Well, just all along, I've been trying to understand where the project site is located.
Well, I can respond to that a little bit. I think there isn't a really firm project boundary. I think, I think that there have, I think the original proposal was for this site generally between Chiste Boulevard and Rainier Vista, and it's approximately this piece. I think as we have looked at it, the kinds of little bits of decision making. I know there was an earlier, bike concept that extended beyond Andover, and we felt that didn't make sense. For one thing, it would make another, pedestrian bike crossing, and it didn't seem like there was much gained by that. So we kind of decided that that's not part of the site. And
What was that section part of the original proposal?
The original bike proposal showed a loop extending up there, but as part of this project, we decided that didn't make sense, so we didn't include it. And I think for us, using the trail along Chiste Boulevard makes perfect sense. It's a lovely trail, needs some maintenance. It's a nice walk. I like to walk up there. I think doing anything in the SHA property, I think there's a whole it's an ownership question, and there have been negotiations with them. My understanding is that we need to be very limited with what we do on their property. So it's all it's all real stuff, you know, we're not, you know, it's flexible, but we're not just making it up out of nothing. We're kind of responding to real conditions and real situations out there. Okay?
Oh, you might, hold on just a minute, Dave, I see you, but Daryl, did you want to add more?
I think I'm looking at the SHA property only because it's actually has, it's part of the green space. I don't think you can separate these two parcels. It's, from what I understand, there's about 7.5 acres of SHA property that's open space. It's in a similar condition to adjacent property. It's owned by the city. Maybe it's a different agency, but it begs to be addressed, and I think it should be pursued as a potential site if we're flexible on our boundaries.
Okay, Dave, you're our last word.
Yeah, thank you. I propose that we move up the evaluation period from 3 years to 1 year, and here's why. I'm really concerned that, according to Maggie, that she said the current trail system is not sustainable. So my concern is this. My concern that people use it a lot the first year. Hopefully some younger riders would use it more over the time. Some of the more advanced riders that have come from different parts of the city or even from the south end might get bored with the system. They quit using it. They're no longer going to the work parties to help remove ivy and holly and everything else. So all of a sudden the usage drops down. Second and third years, if we look at the data, people were there, it dropped off. It proves that this is a failure. I don't think that's really the scope of the project. Should be a 1 year evaluation period to see how it works in 1 year. I also think that someone brought up Olmsted. I was thinking last night, I did a little bit of research about the Olmsted brothers, and I came up with this WWJCD. So what would J.C. Olmsted do? And I was amazed by the audacity that the people of Seattle City Council in Seattle had in 1903, I believe. They hired from Brookline, Massachusetts. If whoever's been to Brookline, it's a beautiful, beautiful city, but a bunch of pearl lakes connected to each other. One of the most desirable places to live in Boston. But they commissioned this firm to come out to Seattle. Seattle's a fledgling city at that time. They're getting ready for the World's Fair. And the Olmsted brothers came out and said, we would like to have a park within a half mile of everyone's home in the city. And you think about that. If you think about if that was the case today, we wouldn't even be here talking about this. Because we could go a half mile away and take our dog for a walk. It's about accessibility. It's about accessibility for people in the city of Seattle. And what we're doing is we're taking this is a pilot project, and we have a chance to make history here, and we have a chance to do something great for our community. I don't want to blow that opportunity. I want us to leave a legacy for our children, our grandchildren, and we can do that by piloting a mountain bike project that makes sense to everybody. And right now, I feel like we have this watered-down version. I saw the original proposal. I don't know what happened to it at City Council, but it looks nothing like this. I mean, I feel like we were buying a microbrew, and now we're getting like Bud Light or something. Like, I mean, this is. I mean, you did a fantastic job. Don't get me wrong. And you did what you had to do, and we had to do the perimeter trail. I think this is a joke. I mean, I really like to invite City Council down here. Like, you make this work. You make a kid go from New Rainier Vista up to Kimball. You know, you get on a bike and you ride this and see how excited you'll be after 3 years. You know, let's move it down. Let's make it something that everyone can get behind, and let's move forward and quit worrying about all these little nitpicky details. I mean, you have to crack some eggs to make an omelet, right? All right.
Okay. Thanks,
Thank you.
Dave. All right. I want to read something from Tom Lindy, and then I'll be calling on people to come up and make public comments. Thank you for being quiet for at least most part of the meeting, except for that last 5 seconds. That was very good. And you can come and sit at the table and then just speak into that microphone. And John is going to be, we have again a lot of people who want to speak and only 15 minutes to do it. So you're going to need to be quick, and folks have been really good about this at our previous meetings. So I'll call on the first 3 people, and then And then I'm going to read Tom Lindy's statement, and then we'll get into the public comment. So we're starting out tonight with Nathan Hedden, Matthew Weintraub, and Mickey Nishihata to start with. Here's Tom's comment. So sorry to have to miss the meeting from afar. I want to chime in as succinctly as possible. I appreciate that we have settled fundamental disagreements about the scope of the design and our decision-making authority. Those generally favoring bike trails breathed a sigh of relief when the news that we need not limit ourselves to a combined trail. Those looking on bike trails with disfavor were relieved to learn that cross rails were off the table. Now I hope that the discussion can stay away from niggling points of rule and process, what was said by city council members, what is written in various bylaws, etc. I trust that there is nothing under consideration here that constitutes any grave sort of transgression. Instead, I hope that the discussion is guided more by the fundamental questions we are here to answer. What is best for this forest system? What is best for all members of our community? What is desired by members of the community as seen in the preponderance of communication from the citizens we represent? Finally, let me voice a wish list desire. This idea apparently seems so subversive and radical that I rarely hear it spoken. But I want the Voldemort question to be voiced so that someday we can answer it. That is, what will it take to move the butt-ugly utility yard to an industrial area or to a corner of the golf course so that we can reclaim that space for a multitude of other wholesome uses? Thank you. Okay. Nathan,
Yes.
go ahead. Yeah, every person has a minute or less to speak, so go
Okay.
for it.
I'll be quick. I'm here representing the NRV community. This is something that we put together, just some of the members of the community that live down there. And basically, I just want to read this. Dear Cheesty Project Advisory Team, we are pleased to present you with this petition affirming the statement. As a South Seattle community member, I support the full and complete Cheesties Trail plan as put forth by Friends of Cheesty Green Space and Mountain View. I support a full restoration of our community woods. I support a robust trail system for both pedestrians and bicyclists, both a perimeter loop trail and connecting trails through the middle of the space. I support trails linking communities and connecting neighborhoods on the east side of Cheesty Green Space with Kimball Elementary and Jefferson Park. And I have a stack here of, and again, this is something we put when we found out about the PAT meeting here coming up. I've not personally been to one of these before, so we have 51 signatures signed from people living right along the east side and in the NRV community itself. And there was also a petition of the same wording put online, and there are an additional 762 signatures supporting that statement.
Okay, thank you. Matthew Weintraub, and we'll Jennifer Day and Jeff Nucker, I think, come up. Matthew?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to say thank you to everyone on the PAT for taking your time to help guide this project along. I know you all have your own lives to get to, so thank you for taking the time to do that. I also want to say that when I walk through the Cheesty area, it's an incredibly unhealthy forest. There's dying trees. The largest single species of biomass is an invasive noxious weed, English ivy. And I think we all owe a lot to the folks, Friends of Cheesty Green Space, the DeJongs, for kind of moving this project forward and getting that area starting to get cleaned up. And I just want to say, I would caution you against being overly cautious in this project, because that's what I hear a lot of, I don't know if we can do this. I teach 8th grade history, and we just had a mock debate last week along with the elections, and some of these meetings kind of sound like this at that time. So I would just say, please don't fall into squabbling.